Speaking truth and power, unlocking minds, one day at a time, day at a time. Speaking truth and power, unlocking minds, one day at a time, day at a time. Truth of the matter is that truth really matters, yeah. Truth of the matter is that truth really matters, yeah. In the beginning, I was back and forth like badminton, lacking wisdom, no direction for proper decisions. I heard my bro had a show, so I started to listen. Truth of the matter, ain't no comparing the competition. The kid feeling blessed, cause it's clear as Windex. After talking with Dex, I know just where to step. I know the pack gon' be narrow, but my eyes on the sparrow. And the truth of the matter is that truth really matters. Truth of the matter, that truth really matters. Hey, truth of the matter.
Hey, well, greetings, everybody. Thank you once again for joining us on Truth of the Matter. I am Dexter Peggins, your host. Listen, I want to say thank you all for joining us thus far on this journey. This is actually our third episode, so we're only getting better. Listen, I was getting spider webs off of me on the first episode, getting back in the podcasting groove. But listen, wanted to thank you all for not only bearing with me, but for really engaging with the content. Now, listen, we are going in a very specific direction. If you've been following us for these past couple of weeks, the first episode was actually called "Decisions and Dilemmas," and what that boiled down to was our mindset. And then last week we talked along the lines of from dis-ease to wellness. And so you might say, Dexter, what does that have to do with anything? Well, the reality is that one of the things that is important to me, especially as we continue to advance on this podcast, is the attitude and the mindset of preparation. Hosea 4:6 says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. And because you have rejected knowledge, I will also reject you. Listen, oftentimes the thing that precludes us from getting that knowledge, that thing that keeps us from being prepared, once again, is a willful decision to be ignorant. Oftentimes we overlook information that is keeping us from growing. And so I wanted to present, for the first few episodes, I wanted to present some experts. I want to present some content that will help us change the narrative in our lives. So, like I said, a lot of us have been off balance. And so the first episode was to really kind of gauge, to kind of say, hey, look, let's start to be more considerate about our decision-making process. Let's not find ourselves in dilemmas. And ultimately, if we have these negative thoughts, we'll continue to find ourselves in a place of being in a perpetual dilemma. But then also, a lot of us, we have to take more ownership in the areas of our health and our wellness. And so last week, once again, we talked about that, preparing your body to be in your best condition. And so what we're going to do today is, and I'm excited about this conversation, we need to have the conversation as it relates to wealth in our financial condition and our financial position in life. You know, one of the things that a lot of people, I believe, have been missing is that 2020, despite all of the issues that we might be seeing, there have been some opportunities to amass some level of wealth. But oftentimes, what is keeping us from experiencing that wealth, once again, is the lack of knowledge. And so I'm excited to introduce our guest on tonight. I call him the wealth generator. I've had a number of conversations with this brother, solid guy, and he's always, challenging me. I love the fact that he's in tune with not only investment opportunities, but he's driven to help people to really benefit and to find success in this area. So without any further ado, let me introduce you all to David Avery. David, what's going on, my brother?
How you doing? Thank you for allowing me on the show.
Hey man, hey, listen, you are a hard man to get a hold of, man. I was like Tony Braxton, waiting 7 whole days to get you on here, man. But I'm glad you came, man. And like I said, man, I've always been appreciative of your time and your willingness to share your expertise. And so for the listening audience to find out why I'm so eager to have you on here, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody?
Okay, David Avery, born and raised Augusta, Georgia. I left for a brief period of time to do my undergrad at Georgia Southern. After that, I came back here during the dot-com bust, 2001. Started off in the tech industry. I'm still relatively in the tech industry, but for the past few years, I've been doing real estate and investing as well. So that's pretty much the gist of it. I've got my hands in a lot of different areas, but I try to stay relevant, keep what's going on and on a global and a macro and a micro level. So what's going on with the state, federal policies, different things, how they affect different people. That's part of my job, being a real estate agent / investor. So, and I'm also an active investor in the stock market, self-taught with everything. I have paid for classes, training, and everything, but not like a licensed financial advisor or hedge fund. That will be my goal one day, is to manage a hedge fund. But that's pretty much what I do. On top of that, being a father.
Oh, hey, man. Listen, I'm telling you, David is the man. David, I'll tell you this. I saw your post on Facebook the other day from 2013 when you put Tesla on there. I was like, man, I wish I knew this cat in 2013. As you all know, I think Tesla topped off at about $2,000 the other day when the market closed.
Right.
And in 2013, 7 years ago, the stock was probably like $100 or something
exactly.
that. So nevertheless, listen, the brother is sound, he's solid, and we're going to dive into it. So with that being said, David, let me ask you this. What would you recommend for the novice investor right now, considering what we've been seeing in 2020, maybe some indicators that you might be recognizing as we get ready to transition into 2021, where would you suggest that the novice investor start?
I would suggest is so many different ways to invest. First of all, that's the thing. I do real estate, but I've seen people invest in different things. But for the novice investor, I'm assuming I want to stick with stocks and real estate. If you're doing stock market, I tell people before you start investing, and it goes back to kind of what you were talking about in the first episode. I always tell people, learn yourself first. That was like my biggest mistake. It's really an inner journey, and I'm not getting spiritual. I know you're a minister, but it really is an inner journey to learn yourself. Because like even with that post with Tesla, I didn't know. I saw a few dollars and I take it off the table. So get to know yourself first, and start learning your strengths and weaknesses. I will get a paper trading account. And that's only for a brief period of time. I'm not a big fan of them because I think you get too addicted to them like I did. That's a mistake I had. Learn the stock market, learn the jargon, learn the language. And once you learn it, after that, then I would just recommend a simple strategy. Something I did was, for instance, I just started putting $25 a month aside. And after that, I opened up a brokerage account and I just started investing. So I built it up to a few $100s. And then that's when I started investing. Just learn that first for the novice investor. With that being said, after that, once you feel a little bit comfortable, then develop a strategy that you think is best for you. Some people are day traders. They want in and out. They have the time, they have the focus to do that. Some people are not day traders. I'm not a day trader. Now, I have day traded before, but day trading is not for me. I could not do it. I am more of a short-term trader, so I will hold a position maybe for one day to a few weeks, maybe even a few months, but that's me. And then some people are long-term traders, and that's why I posted that with Tesla. I'm like, I have to get in the long-term mindset, which is not wrong, and I'm doing that now. But develop a strategy that's best for you, so learn yourself. But that goes to the first part. So that's what I would say for the novice investor. Kind of start, when you start paper trading, say, you know what, man, I didn't like the hold on to that thing for too long. I wanted to take my profit. Some people can be long-term. So I would say that's the first thing to do when you're a novice investor, learn yourself. For real estate, the same thing. I would recommend investing locally before you go out and do it. I think I made that mistake too, but now I'm a big fan of it. So really learn yourself. Just start off beginning. If you got a mentor, that's great. Watch shows. The good thing about now versus back then when I started, which is not a long time, but still relatively a long time ago, is you got YouTube. You got a lot of free stuff that you can use to learn and everything. But I would say just start basic and then develop a strategy, remain focused and disciplined, and go from there.
Man, I love the fact that you went there with learning yourself. Ultimately, one of the challenges I think with a lot of people is we get caught up, we get stuck in our head, and being stuck in your head, a lot of times we will talk ourselves out of opportunities.
Yes, exactly.
A lot of people think that you have to have thousands of dollars to get started on the market, and $25,
Right.
A lot of times it's a matter of just maybe backing away from that Starbucks trip or that fast food.
Right.
Literally, you can start investing from right there.
There you go.
I'm going to go ahead and spill one of my secrets. Sometimes, and I think you know this already, but I feel like there's a good, healthy, competitive thing on Facebook, and sometimes a few of the friends they'll post stocks that they suggest, and so every time I see you post something, I'll quickly go to Robinhood and I'll put a couple dollars down,
right.
Just to see what happens.
Right.
Just to see what happens, and so
Right.
so literally, what I hope that the listeners hear is that there's no excuse to really not get involved. A lot of us are trying to generate our wealth from our jobs, and the reality is that a job is not really designed to make you wealthy, not unless you're making the high six figures.
Correct.
But a job is really to help you maintain.
There you go.
And so you're going to have to introduce yourself to other wealth creating platforms. Now, David, with you being a having a background in real estate and with our president, whether you like him or not, he's a real estate guy. Have you seen any things that work to the advantage of somebody who might be interested in investing in the real estate space since Trump has taken office?
My personal opinion, Trump. Well, let me give you the backstory. Trump. I read Trump book. A lot of people, Trump is polarizing. I keep my personal comments to myself. But The Art of the Deal is actually a good real estate book. I read his book before he got elected. Ironically, and I'm not trying to get off the top, I read Barack book before he got elected. So if Joe Biden got a book, I might need to read his book. But I don't know. One day I was out showing house, true story, and a guy got to talking about Donald Trump. And he said, you need to read his book. And I read his book. It has some actually good material from it. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not an end all be all. It's not the best real estate book I wrote, but I will still get it and read it. Now, with that being said, to lead into your question, I don't believe he's really presented any policies. Being a real estate guy, I was hoping he would. Now, that's just my personal opinion, being an investor and just being in real estate. I think, really his tax policy, that last tax thing he did, actually hurt a lot of first-time. It took a lot of tax credits you got as being a first-time home buyer point blank. Now, he did do the capital gains, but capital gains affect everybody, not just real estate. So I wouldn't say that. Now, with that being said, I think it's more so the economy than his policy. With COVID, with the unfortunate pandemic, why it has hurt is help interest rates. So interest rates are back down. Trump has been tough on the Fed, which I kind of like. I'm not in agreement with it. I think the Fed should be independent, but he has been tough on the Fed about raising interest rates. So he has kept interest rates low. So with that being said, I think it's more so the economy. You just got a interesting mix of the economy. I don't believe it's a policy he put out in place, though, to influence that. So with real estate, it's great to flip right now because it's so much, you got a high demand and low supply. And so, that drives prices up. But that has nothing to do with Trump. If Hillary got elected, I believe we would still be in that same boat. So I don't really see what he has done, in my personal opinion, to help. I'm not knocking it. I do think he has helped the economy, to be honest with you, but I think any president at this time, it's easy kind of to say, you know what I'm saying? But that's just my personal opinion, getting into politics and business. I do hope, and which I hope he does keep the pressure on right now, is for interest rates to stay low. So I think that is good. I'm glad he's doing that. But for us, a specific policy that has just actually helped real estate or anything, no. I hadn't seen the policy directly from him.
You brought up a really interesting point, and I'm glad you made mention of it, because one of the questions I was going to ask you was, does it make sense in our current market if you are, say, long story short, I found myself becoming a landlord. It wasn't really something intentionally that I did, but I've acquired some real rental properties.
Right.
But in our current market, does it make more sense to hold, or does it make sense to flip? And so you suggested that right now it makes more sense to flip.
I'm not gonna say that, Destin, not to cut you off. Now, I'm not gonna say it makes more sense to flip. I'm a big fan of both. It's just two different games. You got the long term and you got the short term game. So, that's how I look at it. I've seen wealthy people come from both. I've seen millionaires that have flipped houses. I've seen millionaires that got a ton of rental property. So I've learned not to say, now some environments are more conducive for others, but now being a landlord, in my personal opinion, remember I said it's low supply. Well, it's low supply for rental property too. They're building up apartments left and right. In fact, it's still demand as we speak. We just came out of a real estate meeting, me and my partner and I, and they were just saying that, if you think about it, AU is still increasing, Cyber Command, folks now are just begging. So with that being said, you being a landlord, you can tell yourself you can charge more in rent now. So I'm getting folks that's calling me as an agent. This has nothing to do with flipping. Hey man, I'm paying $1,500 a month in rent. I'm like, goodness gracious. They're like, the house is just a regular house. And I'm like, yeah, you could be renting. You see what I'm saying? But I believe in buy and hold myself. So, with that being said, landlords are moving up on the price as well because it's a demand for it. So with that being said, to me, it just really depends on your needs. And that's why I say, number one, get to know yourself. Some folks are just buy and hold. If you're buy and hold, that's actually good in this environment as well. If you flip, is actually, if you do both, I'm a fan of both. So that's just my personal opinion. So I wouldn't say I favor flipping more. I'm just saying flipping now, you put a house on the market, just me doing real estate, it's to the point now appraisers are just getting mad at agents because they're like, y'all are submitting over above asking price because there's just no demand. So you're getting in multi-offer situations. But that goes with rental property as well. I'm pretty sure you could testify being a landlord. You got people that need rental property like ASAP. So both strategies are good. That's why it goes back to, I say, learn yourself, learn what works best for you, and then develop a strategy.
Wait, listen, that brother just dropping some jewels right there. Hopefully I'm not having too many technical issues with the mic, but we'll get that adjusted in a second. But listen, I know we were kind of heavy on the real estate piece, but after this commercial break, we're going to start talking about some tools that we can be taking advantage of in this time. Because once again, this particular episode is talking about building wealth in a recession. And there are some opportunities that we can take advantage of that will actually help put us in a better position. And so I want to talk to David about that on the other side of this break. So give us 1 second and we'll be right back.
There is a prevailing crisis that has crippled families and communities for decades. This crisis has a direct association to higher crime rates, increased poverty, and cost the nation millions of dollars annually. The crisis is the epidemic of fatherlessness. What would the world look like if fathers were not only physically present, but emotionally available as well? What would the conversation between the repentant father and the dejected son sound like? Recognizing that sons, both and old, need to hear a heart of a father serves as the motivation for this literary work. This book is for those who need wisdom and guidance, never had those necessary moments with their father, or wish they had more moments with their father. Through the affirmation of a father's love, this book will traverse the difficult path from disappointment to hope and from alienation to reconciliation.
All right, so we're back, y'all. That is, once again, the newest book, Dear Son. Getting some great reviews from that book. If you have not had a chance to purchase it, really want to suggest that you make that a point to do that. Get it for the men in your lives. Listen, we as men, we got issues, y'all.
That's true.
And a lot of our issues can be connected to how we relate with our own fathers. And so that book really deals with that issue. So once again, I'm back with the wealth generator himself. All right, so David, here's my last question about real estate. And so if you guys are listening, you can probably gauge where, I spend a lot of my focus as it relates to investing. A lot of my interest is in the space of real estate. Because I hold true to that adage that God is not making any more land, and so so the reality
unless you're in Dubai.
Yeah, true. Hey, they building stuff in the middle of the water out there.
Right, there you go. They making land out there.
but let me ask you this. One of the interesting things that I've seen in 2020 is that with this illness, with this virus going on, a lot of people are starting to transition from how they do business. And so what you've seen is a lot of brick and mortar businesses really start to shift into the more e-commerce space. And so now you're starting to see a lot more commercial properties becoming available. And so how can an interested buyer take advantage of this current market as it relates to commercial real estate?
I think it's an opportunity. Now, I think commercial real estate is a broad spectrum. You got Class A, Class B office property. You got business. There's so many things you can do with commercial real estate. Now, I'll share with you, and this just me, and I don't mind sharing this on your show. So this is a blessing to your listeners. One of the things I've been looking at is really like small office space. Because people still need small office space, even for storage or anything. I'm a big fan of storage as well. If you can't do a big storage facility like I can't right now, do a small one. Because people, regardless if you're doing e-commerce, look at Amazon. Amazon, they're buying up right now what? I think they're trying to buy out J.C. Penney's now. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? They're just buying up big buildings that people don't need anymore because they need stuff to store. But think about on a smaller scale, if you got an e-commerce company, you need place to store. So I would say look at storage, look at the small shops, because still regardless, folks need a place to go to. So if you want to get your car washed, you got mobile detailing, but you still need a place to store. So you may have that mobile detail, or you may, hey, look, come to my little shop over here. So I would say for the commercial investor, look for opportunities like that. That's going to be well. As far as the large buildings and stuff like that, now I'm not sure. I've been kind of mixed to that. I want to see how that's going to work because people are not going to work no more. If you look at the economy as well, most people are just working from home regardless. Most people want to work from home. And so I think that's going to be interesting to see how that's going to focus. Now, I've seen some downtown. I'm pretty sure you've seen it. It's called Share Space. If you heard of Rodney Sampson, I'm not sure if you heard the word King of Nummets. A powerful brother, man. Oh, goodness. He does a lot in the tech space. I'll recommend reading this book. It's a life changer. And I'll send a link to you, too, so you can share it with your followers. But he has this thing called O-Hub in Atlanta. And what it is, it's like a kind of a tech space. And I've been looking at that model as well, maybe for myself. Now, with that being said, you got the COVID pandemic. Of course, you could do social distancing and everything in there. But I'm looking at these flex models more and more, and they've been coming up slowly but surely. They have reached Augusta, but now it's too many, very few and far between. So I would look at stuff like that for us commercial real estate, man. Of course, I still see churches, places of worship needing stuff. You're still going to need school regardless. I know people doing in-home schooling. So you're going to need training facilities. I think stuff is just going to get smaller and more fluid rather than the big stuff that we're used to. So that's what I see for us commercial real estate.
Man, listen, you got the wheels turning over here. After we get off, I'm probably gonna hit you up, but definitely because even along the lines of those models, I don't know if an incubator per se is
Yeah, that's an incubator, right?
yeah. So my mind was going leaning in that direction that maybe things like that will make sense with a lot of these commercial units that are coming open. Hey, so let me ask you this, David. What are some of the more overlooked wealth generating tools that a lot of people aren't taking advantage of right now?
I would say if you're an investor, I would say ozone. If you go downtown, and there's an opportunity zones. Now that started with the Jobs Act. I believe that act, don't hold me to this. It may have started with Bush. I believe it started with Obama, and Trump got the second phase. Obama did the I can't think. It was with accredited investors, how you raise capital, like crowdfunding.
Yeah.
That was the first part. So you could raise money in bits and pieces. Trump added the ozone. Now, I'm not going to say Trump added, but that policy was added during his era right now. So what the opportunity zone does, if you buy a property, a business in a certain piece of area, if you have capital gains, you can defer those capital gains. I found out about it doing real estate haphazardly. I was selling a house, and this guy was very aggressive on bidding on this house, and the house was okay condition. Of course, I'm not going to disclose everything. So I have a personal relationship with the agent. So me and the agent was talking. He's like, well, Dave, this guy only buys stuff in opportunity zones. And he bought the house for cash. He said, that's all he does. And I'm like, well, what is that? And, my wheels started turning. I'm, like, man, he's like, yeah, he's a millionaire. And, when you do a deal, usually you get to see personal information. I saw he had money in the bank. And so I was like, what is this? So come to find out, he buys ozones. He said it helped Atlanta. And I think everybody saw what happened with Atlanta. Atlanta did a major turnaround, a lot of projects happened. And he said, well, it's coming down here next in Augusta. But ozones, opportunity zones are all around. So I would say that's a wealth generating tool, because even if you can't buy an ozone, I'm watching investors just buy around the ozone. So I'm sorry, if you can't buy inside the ozone, I'm finding investors just buy around the ozone. And that's what that guy was doing. So he's like, hey, look, I'm not even trying to buy in the ozone. I don't even care about the deferment tax, but I know something is coming here. So I'm going to go ahead and buy and hold for 5 to 10 years. And so that's a strategy. I'm looking at implementing that strategy for us purchasing property around ozones, in ozones. City has this thing called enterprise zones. You got hub zones for businesses when you do the Recession AA. So you got hub zones. I would take advantage of those wealth creating opportunities. You get a lot of advantages with those. I would say going after government contracts as well. That has nothing to do with the stock market. I've been trying to break it down. Unfortunately, I can't, but I do know it's a way to build wealth. David Stewart, I don't know if you heard of him, a Black billionaire. And that's how he got started, just going after government contracts. So he owns Worldwide Technology, but he's a Black billionaire. That's just how he made his capital. So there's different ways to make money out here. And but those are some of the ways.
Actually, and you and I, the last time we got together, we actually talked about that, the opportunity zones. So, still, once again, we'll talk offline. we ain't gonna divulge too much right now. But well, let me ask you this. I'm gonna make a comment. One of the things I was sharing with a brother recently, and listen, I don't have a degree in anything finance related. I'm just a person who goes off of stuff that makes sense to me.
Correct.
I invest that way, and by the grace of God, I've been fortunate in some areas, and I missed it in a number of areas. But I was telling him, I said, look, if you have a business or a service that appeals to convenience. Especially right now when people, are still kind of apprehensive about traveling and getting out of the house. If you can leverage yourself in such a way, you're going to be good to go over the next couple of years. And I have my beliefs about this whole coronavirus and maybe some things that'll come down the pipeline from the government. But I foresee us continuing to move in the direction of being more of a virtual consumer.
Yeah.
And so if we can provide a service that meets that demand, you'll definitely be ahead of the curve. And so my other question for you, David, is are you familiar? Are you aware of any opportunities or programs that people can take advantage of right now? Because listen, and I'm not saying this for the person who finds himself depending upon the stimulus check, but if the stimulus check is just a welcome addition to your finances, you're being given a little over $1,000 or more. You can use that to your advantage. And I feel like a lot of people aren't leveraging their opportunities correctly. And so first thing first, are there any opportunities and programs that you're aware of? And then the second question, I guess, to piggyback on that is, how can we better leverage, I hate to say it, but for lack of better words, how can we better leverage what's going on in society to our own advantage?
I think for its opportunities, tools, I think the good thing about the internet is bad and good things. I always look at, that's just my philosophy in life. The good thing, everything is out there. It's just really what you're searching for. So if you're trying to investing is out there. The information is out there. Most of it is free. Some of it is not. Same thing with real estate. So I'm not sure if it's just some tools. Now I sent you a link. I am a big fan of saving. So if I know you mentioned saving, and I think a lot of folks, even if you work in a job, I tell people you can save. And some folks think you have to make a lot of money, but I say it's not how much you make, it's how much you save. That's the philosophy I live by. So with that being said, one tool I use, because I'm not perfect, I got issues saving, is Qapital. And that's Qapital. And what this does, you set rules. So you got all kind of rules. One rule I got is it goes by the week. So like the first week of the year, it takes out $1 on my account. So week 52, that's $52. But every week I'm saving money. And that money right there, and let's say you get a combination of stimulus check, you may have $3,000, $4,000 to save. So I'll send you a link to that website too. It's an app though you can download and link it to your bank account. But you got all kind of rules you can set. So I think really just building the capital, because the only thing about this economy, I will say, you need the capital to do that. And I think that's what's really hurting a lot of folks. They don't have the capital. So I say, you work in a job where, like how you mentioned to me, stop going to Starbucks, cut out some things, start saving. And then after that, figure out what you want to do. Do you want to do stocks, real estate, start a business? And that's the approach I would take. And go from there.
Because I'm going to put that across the ticker. You said it's qapital.com, right?
Yes. Qapital. Let me make sure I can. Let me see real quick. Qapital. Yep, qapital.com.
Yep. And so if you all see that, definitely want to. And you said, David, that helps with the in the area of one more time.
Saving. Okay. Yes, yeah. And so I think tools like that, or I think Acorn as well got something, and maybe Robinhood, I'm not sure. I use E-Trade, so it's a lot of stuff I just put in. But those will help you save. And even I think Cash App has a part for you to save now. Well, a lot of places will help you save. And then once you save and build that capital, then like I said, get to know you, what do you want to invest in, and then go from there. And so that's what I would say.
Definitely. Listen, one of the best things I ever heard, and piece of advice was that being wealthy is not just your ability to acquire wealth, but it's also your ability to maintain wealth.
That's true.
And so I definitely appreciate you highlighting the significance of savings. So listen, Dave, we're coming to the back end. We're coming to the close of this episode, but I want to ask you, is there any other information that you think would be beneficial to our listeners?
I would say which would increase, and I'm working on one. I had started one when I was younger. It was unfortunate. I was looking at investment clubs, try to do stuff together. It is hard because you got members, everybody got different goals, but I've seen the blessing. I've seen the worst case scenario too. But it's a way to build. It's just like if you buy one share of Tesla versus if you buy 50 shares of Tesla and then split it. The math is in it. You have 10 people buy 50 shares, you got way more than if you bought one share yourself. So I would say look at building wealth together. I think that will help the community as a whole. Different things like that. When you can find groups of people as a agent, I see many people like groups. It's a group of lawyers. I'm not going to say, of course. Now I know they own like 400 houses here. It's just I see so many things. I'm like, man, if you could really find a group, that would be such a blessing. And just to help people. And that goes with investment clubs. I'm looking at starting another one now. Working on that as we speak right now. So just to, start pooling money together and just get back in the market and building wealth. So I would say, look at doing that, man. And then just focus on your legacy, understand why you're doing it, the kids, who you want to give to, charity foundations, and go from there. So that's it.
Man, that's huge, and I'm glad you ended on that note. A lot of times we think that we have to do it alone. And I believe I was sharing that with you that I was able to connect with about 10 friends or so, and we say, hey, we're gonna pool our resources together.
Right.
This is not a brand new concept. This is an old concept. And we see this in our culture, in our society. A lot of people say, hey, we're going to pull together our resources, and this is how we're going to help everybody really succeed in the area of finances. And so you do not have to go about this journey alone. Hey, David, real quick, how can the people, if they say, hey, I really love what David was talking about, if they want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do so?
I'll give you my phone number, and I'll give you my email. That's 706-373-8697. And I'll repeat that again, 706-373-8697. And they can email me at Avery, that's D as in David, Avery, my last name, Avery, at BlanchardandCalhoun.com. And that's Blanchard, BlanchardandCalhoun, BlanchardandCalhoun.com. So
David makes it happen, y'all. And while you picking his brain for financial advice, he's gonna sell you a house.
That's
so
right.
With that 1-2
Don't want too much, man. We'll figure it out. I'm always, hey, look, that's Mark Cuban always say that, because he's like, learn to be a good salesperson, which is true. You got to.
David gonna get y'all, but it'll be well worth it. Hey, listen. Hey, let me share this with you all in closing. This comes from Deuteronomy 8, verse 18, and it says, "But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is He who gives you the power to get wealth, that He may establish His covenant which He sware." So, listen, guys, the ability to get wealth is there, but we have to tap into it. And so let's not be ignorant. Let's not choose to be ignorant, but let's avail ourselves to the information that is out there for us to achieve the things that we want in life. Once again, I want to thank our guest, David. I call him once again the wealth generator. And if he uses that title somewhere else, I want to.
You're right to
it. But David, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Okay.
And once again, y'all, this is Truth of the Matter. We will see you all later, and God bless you and thank you. Peace.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Destin. Bye.
Speaking truth and power, unlocking minds, one day at a time, day at a time. Speaking truth and power, unlocking minds, one day at a time, day at a time. Truth of the matter is that truth really matters, yeah. Truth of the matter is that truth really matters, yeah. In the beginning, I was back and forth like Batman, lacking wisdom, no direction for proper decisions. I heard my bro had a show, so I started to listen. Truth of the matter, ain't no comparing the competition. The kid feeling blessed, cause it's clear as Windex. After talking with Dex, I know just where to step. I know the path gon' be narrow, but my eyes on the sparrow. And the truth of the matter is that truth really matters. Truth of the matter.